Welcome back. Today, we are jumping right into a brand new explainer. We're going to dive into something that's fascinated humanity literally for centuries, but as you'll see, pop culture gets it completely wrong: ocean survival. We're talking about the terrifying, harsh physiological realities of being lost at sea and how that actually stacks up against the myths we all know.
So just picture this for a second. Imagine you're stranded in the middle of the open ocean. There is absolutely no land in sight. The sun is just beating down on you, and you're surrounded by millions of gallons of water. Your throat? Completely parched. It is the ultimate life or death situation. How long could you actually last out there before your body starts to shut down? And maybe the more important question, would your basic survival instincts actually save you, or would they doom you?
Well, to answer that, here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Stranded on the open ocean. 2. The irony of thirst. 3. How seawater destroys you. 4. Fatal survival myths. 5. Real sea survival tactics. And 6. Making drinkable water. Let's get into it.
All right, Section 1. Stranded on the open ocean. Fantasy versus history.
You know, it's kind of funny how hit video games like Raft from 2022 make this whole scenario look like a fun little sandbox adventure. You just hook some floating debris, easily distill some water with a simple pot, and build yourself a floating castle. But historically, oh man, it is a total nightmare. Take the chilling reality of the Raft of the Medusa. Back in 1816, 147 people were abandoned on a makeshift raft. In just 13 days adrift, they endured starvation, severe dehydration, and eventually resorted to cannibalism. Out of 147, only 15 survived. So real ocean survival is definitely not a game, it is a rapid, horrific breakdown of the human body. Moving on to Section 2. The irony of thirst, water you cannot drink. This really is nature's cruelest joke, isn't it? Floating in an absolutely endless supply of water that is effectively poison. Now, when you look at the sheer scale of the mismatch here, it is genuinely terrifying. Human blood is mildly salty. It sits at about 9,000 parts per million, or roughly 0.9%. But ocean water? That's sitting at roughly 35,000 parts per million. It's off the charts. Introducing a fluid that's nearly 4 times saltier than your own blood into your system, that triggers a catastrophic osmotic imbalance.
Which brings us to Section 3. How seawater destroys you. The biological ticking clock. Let's break down exactly how this ticking clock plays out deep inside your organs.
So, drinking seawater leads to a very dangerous condition called hypernatremia. And honestly, this part really surprised me. Human kidneys are these amazing complex filters, right? But they have a hard limit. They literally cannot create urine that is saltier than seawater. So, to flush out that massive salt load you just drank, your body's forced to pull fresh water out of your own cells just to dilute it. You're basically turning your own body into a rapid water-losing machine. Every single cup of seawater you drink forces your body to urinate out more than a cup of your vital fluids. And it takes surprisingly little to destroy you. Just 1 cup, about 250 milliliters, is enough to trigger strong thirst and nausea because water is aggressively being pulled from your cells. Hit 2 cups, or 500 milliliters, and ironically, your fluid levels plummet even faster due to vomiting, diarrhea, and intense weakness. It's a huge net fluid loss. By the time you hit just 1 liter, or 4 cups, the severe dehydration hits your brain. Confusion sets in, your kidneys are under incredible strain, and it rapidly escalates to seizures and eventually coma.
Section 4. Fatal survival myths. Don't trust your instincts, because out there, in a panic, your basic camping instincts are going to completely betray you.
Let's say you're lucky. You have a pot, you somehow make a fire on your life raft or a deserted island. The most obvious thought is, hey, can I just boil this ocean water to make it safe, right? I mean, we're all taught to do that with river water to kill germs, so it makes total sense. Well, wrong. Actually, boiling seawater makes it much, much deadlier. While boiling absolutely does kill microbes, it completely fails to remove the dissolved salt. What happens is the fresh water evaporates into steam, leaving all that heavy salt behind right there in your pot. So if you drink what's left, you aren't drinking water, you're drinking a highly concentrated salt brine that'll accelerate hypernatremia even faster. No way you want to do that.
Oh, and here's another desperate myth that gets thoroughly debunked by experts, like Professor Mike Tipton from the University of Portsmouth: drinking your own urine. Despite what you might have seen on, certain extreme survival TV shows, doing this in a marine survival scenario simply recycles that toxic waste and salt load straight back into your bloodstream. It is a completely fatal loop.
just don't do it.
Okay, Section 5. Real Sea Survival Tactics, the Expert Guide. So how do the experts say you actually stay alive out there? Take a look at this hierarchy of survival from Professor Tipton. You can only survive without air for a matter of minutes. Warmth? You've got hours. Water? You can survive for days, up to 6 or 7 in a marine environment. But without food, the human body can remarkably last for 40 to 60 weeks. Wait, scratch that, 40 to 60 days. The massive takeaway here? Stop worrying about catching a fish to eat. Conserving your bodily fluids is vastly more important than finding food.
And knowing this leads to an incredibly counterintuitive tactic, the 24-hour fast. Believe it or not, drinking absolutely nothing for the first 24 hours triggers your body's anti-diuretic hormone. This basically locks down your kidneys, drastically lowering urine production and aggressively conserving the roughly 50 liters of fluid already inside you. It's an amazing biological trick.
But once that 24 hours up, you are going to need emergency fluids. Rainwater or dew is obviously our absolute best friend, but what if it doesn't rain? While survival experts suggest squeezing the lymph, or juices, from fish flesh. I know it sounds pretty gross, but it beautifully matches human blood at that 0.9% salinity. If you're really desperate, you can even consume turtle blood or fluid from fish eyes. But listen, just as critical as finding fluid is stopping yourself from sweating. You have to stay cool. Seek shade, avoid paddling your raft, minimize your exertion. Less sweating means a much less urgent need for water.
Finally, Section 6, Making Drinkable Water, Desalination. Because luckily, if you happen to have some basic materials, you don't have to rely on fish juices forever.
To make ocean water truly safe, desalination is the only real solution. You absolutely must physically separate the salt from the water. Now, modern life rafts have reverse osmosis pumps, which literally force water through a microscopic salt-blocking membrane. But if you don't have that high-tech gear, you have to use distillation. Remember how I said boiling left the salt behind? Well, distillation takes advantage of that exact process by evaporating the water and capturing the clean condensation that floats away.
So here is how you build a DIY survival solar still to capture that pure steam. First, you place a clean cup right in the center of a container. Then, pour your seawater into the container around the outside of the cup. Next, stretch a clear plastic sheet completely over the container and seal the edges tight. Finally, place a small rock on the plastic directly above your cup. As the sun heats the seawater, pure, salt-free vapor rises, hits the plastic, pools at that drip point created by the rock, and drips cleanly down into your cup. It's a slow process, for sure, but it is totally life-saving.
And knowing these harsh realities really does save lives. Just take this real-world proof from August 2023. 4 Australian surfers were lost off the coast of Indonesia for days, but they were rescued alive. How? By staying out of the warm water, just sitting on their surfboards. This prevented slow temperature loss, minimized their physical exertion, and vastly reduced their body's need for fluids. Knowledge and calm decision-making really do win the day out there.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. The ocean is undeniably beautiful, but it operates on cold, completely unforgiving biology. If you were stranded tomorrow, surrounded by endless blue, would you remember the deadly math of ocean water before giving in to thirst and taking that first fatal sip? Definitely keep these lessons in mind. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious and, hey, stay prepared.